Hi, this is DrClyde. We're on our fourth step of 6 in optimizing your sports nutrition in this mini course. This fourth step is the creation of recovery meals where we're including vegetables and fats. And we're going to start off with the concept of insulin sensitivity, meaning how our lean tissue, in particular our muscle, respond to our food to take in as much of what we're eating as possible to minimize how much is partitioned to body fat. So here's how the system works. On top of this slide, the pink section is our bloodstream, and on bottom, this is a lean cell. Let's say it's a muscle fiber. When you eat and glucose levels from that food go up, amino acids will do this to a lesser extent. Insulin is released, which then turns on the spigot to let the fuel come in. And whatever can't be absorbed by lean tissue will go to body fat. So what's the mechanism of that spigot? And how do we get that thing to open as far as possible? Well, if we change our metaphor to a dinner bell, which is then heard by little mouths that come to the surface, glucose transporters, that helps us to understand how this system can get shut down if the glucose rises too fast. So if glucose rises faster than our lean tissue can handle it, because this glucose comes into muscle very quickly, it'll start to bind to this first signaling protein inside and shut it down. And that means more of that carbohydrate is going to go to fat cells. Now, this can happen even when you're not eating that much. If you have a candy bar or juice or soda, something where that digests quickly, bread, rice, in a significant amount, without much protein, fats, vegetables to slow down its digestion rate, it'll come into your bloodstream quickly, even if you didn't eat that much. And the insulin response will be large because of the rate of the rise of blood sugar. In your 5 liters of blood, there's only 25 calories of sugar. Blood sugar is only 25 calories, the same amount as a small piece of candy. So when you eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and there's 200 calories of carbohydrate, that's almost 10 times the amount that's in your bloodstream. If you include the jelly, it's 250 calories. That's 10 times what's in your blood. If that digests within 15, 20 minutes, and it does, especially if it's the white bread and processed jelly, the whole grain bread only slows down by 10 to 15%. So actually that doesn't help you that much. It's really the vegetables and whatever protein you're eating with it. But oftentimes we eat things like that by itself, chips, muffins, pretzels, and the rate of increase is going to be high. So the insulin response will be as if you ate 1,000 calories, but you only ate 100 calories worth, just because blood sugar raises very quickly. So muscle will at first absorb that, but if it enters the muscle faster than what the muscle can store and use as fuel in the short term, then the rapidly rising glucose levels causes it to be slightly chemically altered, where it then binds to this first signaling protein, where the insulin signaling is now dropping. The dinner bell isn't ringing as loud. And without that signal, those mouths come back in and those sugars will go to body fat instead. So a typical processed breakfast, the dry cereal breakfast, will reduce insulin signaling hours later, even at lunchtime. That's how long that excess glucose stays bound to this shutting down this signaling molecule. When amino acids enter muscles faster than they can be utilized, because muscle's not able to store extra protein, then that also reduces insulin signaling, and more animal fats, saturated fats, deranges our cell membrane so that the shape of the dinner bell and the shape of the mouth absorbing the glucose are both changed to be less functional. So this is typical with fast food, right? You have animal fats, fast digesting carbohydrates, high protein. And so that is the perfect storm for less coming into muscle. So this closes down your spigot. And the worst scenario is when you're eating fast digesting carbohydrates by themselves. And this is very typical for a person to have a muffin or a cookie or pretzels or chips as a snack all by itself. And the rate of rise in the blood sugar is fairly dramatic. So processed food, particularly without a slowing agent, protein, fats, and most powerfully vegetables, you're going to have a reduction in how much goes to your engine, your lean tissue, and more spilling over from your bloodstream, just because of the rate of rise in the bloodstream. On the other hand, unsaturated fats increase the rate of fat utilization, making way for greater carbohydrate utilization. And if the carbohydrates are entering the bloodstream slower because they're less processed, they're more wholesome, and you can just tell by looking at your plate what you're eating, you'll have a sense of whether a carbohydrate is more or less processed, then more will be absorbed into your lean tissue. So the most powerful tool for slowing down digestion to maximize how much goes to your engine, your lean tissue, is vegetables, because it takes the stomach longer to break down the particles that you chewed into sub-millimeter size so that it's empty in the intestine. So whatever you eat with crunchy vegetables or lightly cooked vegetables that are still al dente will get trapped in the stomach and mixed with those vegetables until the vegetables are broken down enough by the stomach to empty into the intestine where they're digested. So in studies with diabetics, the normal controls as well as type 2 diabetics both will reduce the stomach delivery and therefore digestion rate by a factor of 2 or more. So you can turn pizza, white bread, and white tortillas into something that actually fuels your lean tissue to a much greater extent, just because you're eating it with healthy fats and proteins, and in particular, vegetables. So why do I say in particular? Because fats and proteins stimulate a cholecystokinin, a cholesterol-based hormone response that slows stomach emptying and impact other hormones, but that takes 10 to 15 minutes to kick in. By then, half of a highly processed carbohydrate is already entering your bloodstream. And we can see that in the normal controls and the diabetics in these interventions, where they're eating 200 calories or 50 grams of rice or bread. But vegetables slow down stomach emptying mechanically, so it's instantaneous. So you want to eat the vegetables before or with the carbohydrate, but not 10 minutes afterwards. There's machinery in our cells, including our muscle fibers, of course, called PPARs, peroxisome proliferator activated receptors, that are they're activated. Our DNA is activated to produce more of them to increase fat burning rate by omega fats. So when you're eating unsaturated fats, you increase your rate of fat burning. Now, of course, fats are high in calories, and eating more fats than you need could increase your baby fat or subcutaneous fat, which doesn't reduce your health. But an athlete who wants a high power to weight ratio is looking for a normal body fat level without any excess fat that holds them back on the bike or swimming or in the run, or jumping on the court, or their ability for their agility, which is your ability to cut and turn, change directions, and therefore repeatedly accelerate. So for that, power to weight ratio in most sports is critical. And so having around a quarter of your calories, a third of your calories in your meals as fats, where the emphasis is on plant fats, unsaturated fats, and if it's animal fats, grass-fed, pasture-fed, which then dramatically increases the unsaturated fat content and lowers the short chain of the length of the chain of the saturated fat so that it doesn't hurt you nearly as badly and can even increase health. Those are your dietary healthy fat targets to increase the rate of fat burning. And the unsaturated fats have double electron bonds that oxygen likes to attack, but the antioxidants in vegetables protects them so that you get more benefit from the unsaturated fats. So this will then ultimately increase the sugar use in your brain, in your muscles, increasing healing from your training, reducing muscle loss with natural aging. So it is the combination of unsaturated fats and protecting them with vegetables and their antioxidants that is the 1-2 punch to drive the nourishment component of your recovery meals. So our bodies are essentially hybrid engines where the primary fuel sources are fats and carbohydrates, and we optimize the delivery of both of these by having slow digesting recovery meals. So the delivery into our cells and the use of those within our cells are both optimized. You can think of it as two spigots in series by slow digesting, wholesome, balanced meals that provide the 4 main food groups to nourish your body from each of those directions. If, on the other hand, you have fast digesting processed foods, the insulin response will tell your fat cells to release less fats and can shut down the spigot on the surface of your muscle fibers so that you're reducing the delivery and use of both of your fuel sources. That is really going to undercut not only the fitness component of your performance, because it undercuts your healing, but ultimately can reduce your health. So the recovery meals focus on the quality of your unsaturated fats and vegetables and the variety of those things, and then the amount because they're not as easily oxidized, these food groups, of protein and carbohydrate, and how even the flow of protein carbohydrate is through your day. The flow of fats and vegetables is less important. A couple times a day, vegetables, it'll give you a half-life of 12 to 24 hours for most of those antioxidants. So even just one meal with a large component of a mixed variety of colorful vegetables is enough to promote the nourishment of that component to protect the unsaturated fats. So the timing of vegetables and fats isn't as critical unless vegetables are being used to slow down the carbohydrates because they're more processed. Then timing them with processed carbohydrates is critical. Then vegetable timing becomes critical. But where the nutrients are hurt less by oxygen, and so quality after a week is less of a concern, like for bread, than it would be for vegetables and fats, like walnuts and chia seeds that are high in unsaturated fats. You can tell that they're tasting more rancid already within a month. But protein and carbohydrates, that's where the flow evenly through the day is more important. And those are the two food groups where the carbohydrate need is higher on a day where you work out more, and protein is higher for a week where you have worked out more. So the protein that you're eating, including on a rest day, is for your past workouts. You're still healing just as much on a rest day as on a workout day. So your protein intake should not go down on a rest day compared to a hard workout day. But carbohydrate intake will modulate up and down with the intensity of your training load from day to day. So recovery meals include vegetables and dietary fats where you want to think about the quality, and spacing those out in your day is a little less important than carbohydrate and protein, because those together with water need a steady supply on an hourly basis. So it matters how fast you digest how fast the protein and carbohydrate sources that you're eating digest. So in our next video, step 5, we're going to look at hydration and electrolytes, and then putting this all together in the big picture.